If the only tool you have is a hammer, you tend to see every problem as a nail. Abraham Maslow. What Maslow meant by the hammer is the power of education. Education has the power to solve most problems in the world today. Part of our duty towards our society is increasing the sharing of knowledge that we have learned, experienced, or collected. Aspire is a new dialogue program that invites guests from various educational backgrounds who kindly share their stories and advice to help our new generations to live a good life. Education is for improving the lives of others and for leaving your community and world better than you found it. Marion Wright Edelman. It is highly appreciated that we have speakers who want to increase the knowledge of parents in order to ensure that our kids grow up in a safe environment. As well as educating youth, increasing the knowledge of parents is one of the best ways to ensure that our kids grow up in a safe environment. This program discusses issues that are important for people in various fields of interest. Aspire is presented by doctoral student Mehdi Al-Aklubi.
Madame Ellen Laperrie, thank you so much for coming this morning.
My pleasure.
I'm honored to host you. Can I call you Madame Ellen?
Sure.
Okay. So today we would like to know the perspective of psychoeducation about different cultures. So let's start with the cultural background that can affect how we parent and how we understand our children. For example, cultural background can affect parenting practice, such as warmth and motivation. Can you help us understand to what extent the cultural background influencing raising children?
Throughout the experience, what I can say first is that all parents who come to our services and who ask for support, they deeply love their children, whatever is the background, cultural background that they have, wherever they live. They want the best for their children. They want them to grow healthy, successful, independent as adults, responsible in the society, and to contribute to the well-being of the whole society. This is a common goal and a common value. So, and the way to express love is usually to keep your child safe, teach your child how to grow, making the right choices, and being responsible of your child until he's responsible of him or herself. Right? You agree with that?
Yes, of course.
Where we learned in the past, I should say, it depends on the societies who migrate and where. In my case, I work more in Quebec, Canada, and migration changed throughout decades. And I started working 30 years ago. The Arabic community from the Gulf and from North Africa came mostly more since the last vague came since 1995. There was people from the Gulf, the French-speaking ones, let's say from Egypt, from Syria, from other backgrounds, came earlier to Canada, maybe 40 years ago. And there is a difference in the adaptation of families. Okay, and a difference also in the way parents migrate. Did they migrate to flee a conflictual situation, a political situation, or economical situation, or they came here to build or just to change their background or because of their education or work? There is difference in their own living, and also it's based on parents' own education. How did they learn and how was the background? Maybe 20 years ago, I was exposed to training that enlightened a lot my knowledge and my understanding of different parental practices. And when we talk about, because one society can judge that the other society is too punishing, and the other society could judge that the other society is too permissive, right?
Right.
And we face this a lot. Let's talk about the communities that came since 25 to 30 years. A lot of children had problems at teenage, adjusting and respecting parents' rule. And parents were questioning about the fact that this society, the North American society, is it a society that allows children to do whatever they want? Like, how can we keep control on our children's well-being and their safety? Because if we let them come out of our home, they're in danger. They meet with all kinds of people, they bring all kinds of ideas at home. We lose control on transmitting to them our values, our good values that we want them to learn. They just run away from us, they don't talk to us, they don't listen, so we don't know what to do. Basically, that was the general questioning, right?
Yeah.
And on our side, from North America, yes, there is times that we are explaining parents that here, physical correction or verbal correction could be seen as damageable for the child. But in the same time, we have to take in consideration that both societies work totally differently on the pace. Here in, let's say, Canada, or Canada and East Canada, Quebec, the society has changed throughout the last century. First, people were living more in the countryside, and they were also surrounded by their grandparents, extended family.
Yeah.
And at that time, back in the years 40s and 50s, there was also physical correction.
Oh.
My own parents were physically corrected at school.
Okay.
This changed with the migration of families to the cities, because that would separate from the extended family.
Yes.
And the children would be raised only by mother, father. And when it started to be only one parent, and when, let's say in the 70s, there was more freedom in the society, people would go out more, there would be a problem also with respecting rules, especially when there's only two parents and no access to the extended family. And when the society becomes individualist, I don't know if you understand that word in English, but like when people do their own thing for themselves, and if they see the neighbor do something and they don't pay attention, they let the neighbor do what they want.
Okay.
The correction that they used to give lose the power.
Oh.
Why? Because if there's not enough people to stop the child from doing something, the child finds easily a way out.
Right.
So we experienced this in the 70s, and then here, and developed psychology to teach the children to be younger, able to take right decisions for a very younger age. Because if they were counting on the children to listen only to one or two parents, as soon as the parents are not checking, not available, or at work, the child will do whatever, because there's no punishment.
Yes.
Here I am reaching the explanation about learning discipline by self-control, internal control, or by external control. So societies who are surrounded with people who practice the same discipline, neighbors, grandparents, extended family members around, can practice efficiently external control on the children until they reach the adult age, until they leave home and get married, and then become responsible, which is, I think, more the model that you're talking about.
Right.
Okay? This model works well. It works well as long as there is enough people to ensure that discipline, because when there is enough people, the child looks and knows people are checking him and will not reach the point of getting the correction all the time. He might get the physical correction once and see that, oh, if he turns this way and tries something else, oh, somebody is there. So you will be careful and listen and not run out of limits. What happens is that when there's no limits around, the child only listens to one person or two people, and when those people are not there, he doesn't learn.
Oh.
So they had to develop another way to teach the child, and this child could not be taught only at adult age, because otherwise it's gonna get stuck in problems.
Right.
You understand?
Yes.
So this is where it built a new way of teaching, and this is a whole system. Because what people come here see, people who come here see, is only the result of that system.
Oh.
Like they go to school and then they are shocked because the school will say, okay, your child is not allowed to hit back. He got hit and he hit back, so he has to write a reflection to explain why did he do that. And parents are like, are they strange? Why? My child got hit, he has to hit back. Okay?
Yeah.
So it's not because here we let everybody hit everybody and we don't say anything. It's just that the system tried to teach from kindergarten to the children. If you get into a problem, you have to stop yourself, go see your teacher, get help, solve the problem, think about what is the effect of hitting on the society at 5 years old. But people who are from a background who teach differently, they will think this is really strange.
Exactly.
You follow me?
Yeah.
Okay, but because they don't have the information, and here, because we think that we have to work this way, and we did not all study on the different societies, backgrounds, we think that the other side is aggressive, which is not the case.
Yeah.
Okay? A parent who teach his child to hit back is not aggressive. He is working on external control model.
Yes.
Follow me?
Yeah.
Here, we don't accept it because we learn that if the other one hits back and then call the parents and the father hits back the father of the other, there's gonna be a war.
Right.
Okay, so
we
so we learn also that it's possible and it's efficient to learn the child, to stop the child when he's young, to take the right decision, because it requires less army, less police, less, because on the way you will see two kinds of advertising. For example, I was coming in Ontario, okay? You see two kinds of advertising. You see a pancarte, mind your speed, construction ahead. This is internal control.
Right.
Like, be careful, and if you want to be careful, then you will slow down.
Yeah.
But people who don't have external control, they will look, there's nobody,
Oh.
go. There's a police, stop.
Yeah. Yeah.
There is another kind of advertisement who says, $10,000 fees, jail, that's external control.
Yes.
But they put both because in this society now, there is two kinds of way of functioning.
Yeah.
If they only put mind your speed, all the people who have external control will go.
Go. Yes.
If they only put punishment, the other ones feel
Discipline.
it's unfair.
Oh yeah.
Because I'm like, you understand?
Yes,
so
yes.
so I will let you ask the next question,
Yeah.
but it's very important to consider that there's not one system who is good, which is good, and the other system which is bad. Because if we think this way, people coming here will think that here is bad, and we will welcome people thinking that their way is bad. And then we will try to teach you our way, which is totally strange and inefficient for you.
Yeah.
I remember a situation where the school was saying, no, don't explain the father that he has to count to 3 before the child puts his coat on. And the child said, okay, 1, 2, 3. The father, 1, 2, 3. And when we were in the kitchen, he said, go! It's like we cannot teach something that doesn't make any sense to another person who has another different background.
Yes.
So the first key is to know where we're going, to plan how long we're going to stay there. Because if you come here for a degree, 3 years or a PhD or whatever, and you're going to go back, you can keep your own methods, because you just have to consider that in school it's going to be different. You can explain the child at school is different, at home is different, and you'll go back in your society so it doesn't cause problem.
Right.
But if you migrate here to stay here, and the child will have to raise children here, then it's interesting to study about how does it work and why it works this way, not to give the child the impression that we're the only one who know how to raise you and they don't know how to raise children, because then the child will go out and prefer that and then turn against parents.
Yeah.
So that's what we're gonna talk about.
Yes, yes. As psychoeducator, do you think children who live in homes with two cultures can be confused and stressed? I mean, what should parents do to handle these consequences if the deep roots of cultures were the factors for children's mental health?
There's a model of John Schumann, okay, that you will
Yes.
show. It's a very simple table explaining that there is 4 different ways to adapt when anybody from anywhere in the world changes to go live in a different setting, a different country, even a different city, but mostly a different country or a different cultural background. Okay, the first reaction we have is to keep our own culture and move out with our bubble.
Yeah.
And when we are with our children, we try to keep them as much as possible in our bubble, but the problem is that the bubble will burst at a certain point,
Right.
especially when they will go out, starting by school, eventually at teenage, okay? This would be the model of separation. Separation means that you separate from the new society and keep in your own society.
Like bounded.
Okay, trying to teach your children exactly the same way you would do at home, trying to inculcate them everything about your belief, your way to work, your wish for their studies, your wish for their marriage, your wish for everything they do. As long as they don't see what's happening outside, this model will work. But as soon as they will find out that there's a different life out there, it's a disaster.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So this way, separation is one way to work. The other way to work is to try to please the new society by trying to forget everything. Change your dress style, change your beliefs, start eating fast food, not leaving your children at night, going out with whoever they want to please them and to please the new society. This is marginalisation and assimilation for the parents. It's 2 ways that the parents are trying to become North American,
Right.
to keep the link with their children.
Right.
But since they don't have the base of the psychology teaching from the first age,
Yeah.
and they don't have the surrounding, because when they do that, their own family back there doesn't accept that.
Exactly.
Because for
Yeah.
them, they become marginalized.
And the
So they
cortisol-
lose the protection of their own background support.
Yeah.
And at the same time, their children at the beginning will chill and be very happy. My parents are cool and all this.
Yeah.
But they will lack the base. So then you will see criminal records and drugs and alcohol and all kind of things.
Okay.
Because in a good will, parents try to keep the link with their children. They know that they won't be able to keep them in their bubble like the first model. So to please them and to keep their children, they're just opening doors and forgetting their own backgrounds.
Yeah.
Danger. That doesn't work at all.
Okay.
Okay? There's not many people who try to do that.
Yeah.
Okay, but there is. And the first to separate, a lot of people try to do that at the beginning, but then see that it doesn't work, and
Try
then
to control.
either ask for their own background to help them, so they send back the children there for the summer, or somebody from there comes,
Okay.
or they try to keep, but to protect, but they're the new society keeps foreigner. They keep not understanding what's happening and why this is happening, and they have sometimes difficult communication with school, and they're trying to defend their point, and they're consulting their families, they're bringing back their children to a doctor over there, they're trying to find explanation from the family. So that model is more protective than the other one, but still there is a big obstacle, because they need help of people who understand the link between the two cultures. Because the problem is not the first functioning, it's not the second functioning. it's the merge of the two functioning.
Right.
This is where, because I don't know also that I'm going to Saudi Arabia and I say, hi, I want to work, I'm a psychoeducator. Do you think I'm gonna find a job? Okay. Okay, you understand everything. So here, okay, this work, whether it's psychoeducation, psychology, special education, or special ed consultant, all those careers are very popular here.
Yeah.
People find it funny. Sometimes they're like, why do you need so much psychology?
Yeah.
But it's because we work on the understanding of the child to grow up with the capacity to choose, not to choose whatever they want, to choose within
The
limits.
best. Okay.
But we have to still give them the limit, but we have to change the practice into practice to help them, to ask them, do you need the limit? Like to give them a limit and a choice, and if they cannot choose, tell them, I will choose for you if you don't choose.
Right.
Let's say, instead of saying, yes, you can go out, okay, after school, okay, bye. That is too free, okay? To say, no, you have to be home at 3, you have to do your homework, you have to listen to 2 hours, learn your religious things, and you have to go to bed at 8, and you can't use your phone, and you have to be at, like this is, well, this would work if the neighbors will check you, but what's gonna happen is that the child very fast will find a way out the window and come back. Okay, so that I'm saying, I'm not inventing, I've seen a lot of that.
I know.
I even have a teenager who one day told me, if you put 20 people outside my home, I will not go out. But the child doesn't have an idea about what I'm explaining. That's illustrating you. The child grew with being surrounded. The child ended up in a place where there is the same rules, the same punishment, but no surrounding. And the child does it and tells me, I need this. Can you imagine?
Oh my God.
So what we have to do is find a balance. We have to acknowledge that the rules of the parents make sense for the protection, but we have to help them set adjusted rules that the child will not try to jump off the window to do something else, and that also the child will not be totally free and the child will keep the contact with the parents. So how do we do that? This is the work that psychologists, psychoeducators, special ed, because a lot of parents, when the school writes to them, we would like your signature because your child needs help and we would like the special educator to work with your child. The parents are like, why does my child need a special educator? Okay, and they don't want to sign and they don't want the child to have a file, and we are like, oh, they never want to work with us. This is not the case because they don't understand why is the existence of a special educator. I lived all my life without a special educator. I don't need a psychologist, I'm okay. You understand? So the reason here so many people are called by the school to have special educators, psychoeducator, it's because of the merge. Because the school also, because I'm not, like if you interview me 25 years ago, I cannot give this interview because I have to learn. We're not learning that in school. Like this model I spoke about, because this person, John Schumann, he studied a long time before he was able to do that model. Because I talked, the first model is separation. You keep in your bubble, you try to keep in your bubble, it will burst. The second and third model is either assimilation, like before in all society, we tried that. Okay? Like to put everybody the same. Either it's communist, either it's religious. What happens at the end? War. We cannot put everyone the same. We have to take basic rules and bring people to follow those rules. The countries that, now no country works perfectly right now in the world, but the places that are more functional, efficient, peaceful and successful, if you will see, there is a diversity background. When I say diversity, I don't mean out of control. I'm saying taking the good out of everybody who's there, not saying I'm right, you're wrong, no, I'm wrong, you're right, I'm right, you're wrong, and then fight. This is the same thing with parents, children, and with where we go and where we come from. Everybody has to consider that nobody's perfect. Everybody has strengths, capacities, and good ideas, and everybody makes mistakes,
Right.
and everybody, as we have to think basically that we have a goodwill when we do something, because also a mistake of our society is to judge people hitting a child, saying, oh, they're violent, they're aggressive. No, they're not violent. They became violent because of all context. Maybe they're stressed, and their children, they always only threaten their child, and the child always listen. All of a sudden they come here, there's nobody to help them, and the child goes out of control, so they lose it.
Yes.
But I've never met a parent myself, because the parents who really don't care and are really out of control and aggressive, they're not coming to our services. Right? And it's a minority.
Yeah.
Most of the parents who come to our services, they're desperate. They want help. They want to take care of their children. They don't know why their children is acting like that. They don't know why the school is talking like that. They don't understand what we want from them. They don't understand why we don't let them teach their child to defend themselves. This is the major concern. The bullying. A lot of children are victims of bullying. And a lot of schools are after parents saying, teach your child not to hit back. And the parents are like, hit back, hit back. So this is until now a problem.
Exactly.
Okay, so
Everywhere.
yes, but when we are called as a special consultant, what we do is to try to put the parents and the schools together and explain, look, okay, you want to protect your child. We respect this and we understand this. We also want to protect your child, but our way to protect your child is different. Now we have to understand how we're going to do it together.
So according to many studies, some parenting styles might lead to poor or demotivated relationships between parents and children. Based on your experience with parents from different nations, what would you advise newcomers or overseas parents these days?
I think the most efficient and helpful way to keep your children is to keep the bonding and to keep the communication with the child. I think also that because I've seen different families, numerous families, and no matter how many struggles you go through, when you keep the bonding, not the overprotective bonding, but caring about what your child does, asking about school, but not too much, like to be regulated, but to show interest in your children's interests and to praise your child in their efforts, not only in their success. Like when the child does effort to follow, does effort to work or to succeed at school, because there's also the school issue. The school issue is a major issue because the teaching systems are very different. And here the system is very open with project approach. The child has to plan their projects in advance, and it's not enough structured at school compared to what you're used to. And what I think is helpful is that the parents accompany their children in the system, not doing the things instead of their children, but accompanying the child, asking the child what he has done at school from very young age. Like, what did you like today, what you didn't like, and show me what you've learned. And when the child tries to do something and you see he's not doing enough well in your impression, just to say, wow, you tried, and maybe shrink the amount of work and make him choose between two subjects to start with, and not to be scared if the school asks you to consult. If the school says we would like to meet you, or we would like the special educator to meet your child, to just maybe tell the school, look, I'm not used to that kind of approach. I'm open to what you want to tell me. I'm learning about this new society. Back home, in my family, we never had any learning difficulties. We never had any behavioral concerns. So for me, what I see is new. So, but I want to work with you. This is because the child will see that there's no cut between the outside and the home. Because if the parents say, no, I don't have problems, I don't want to sign, I don't want to go to that meeting, I don't need a psychoeducator, I don't need this, my child is okay, I don't need evaluation. Okay, if the parents does that, the children become in a conflict between two cultures, because the child feels, okay, I have to show my parents that I'm perfect, everything's fine. because I'm perfect. And the school will say, but you need help. And, you know, and then at school, I will become like uncomfortable. I will follow what the school tells me. Then when I go home, I will try to be like my parents. And this creates a conflict between two cultures.
Yes.
But if the child sees that the parents explain verbally that I want to work with you, I only need to understand, then it's a model for the child. Like, my background is okay, but there's a communication. There's a communication with both of them, and the schools here, they never blame when the parents don't know something and accept the communication. They start being less responsive when the parents say they're right and don't collaborate, like don't show them that I accept what you're telling me. So even if you don't accept the way they're telling you, you can say, I want to work with you, but I need to understand, what do you mean?
Yes.
Okay, so the child will feel okay to show the parent the difficulty. Because what I've seen throughout the years is that children try to show the parents that everything's fine. And at school, they see that there is need. And the reason there is a lot of learning difficulties, don't forget that you're coming from, most of the time, French or English is the second language or French is the third language.
Yes.
It's a lot for children.
Exactly.
And also with the backgrounds, okay, and the children who are in loyalty conflict means they want to please home, they want to please school, they want to please their friends, they want to please their parents. So they're trying to avoid their parents seeing anything, so then the parents lose the control. So the best thing is to keep the bonding, to even explain to children, look, me, I was raised when I was your age, in my country it was working this way. As long as they're 4 or 5 years old, they can understand that.
Right.
I was working differently and here it's working differently. It's okay, but it's important we always stay together. You take all the good from here, all the good from the school. If they say, oh, Madame Professor said this, instead of saying, oh, I'm gonna talk to the director, I'm gonna complain for your teacher not to say that, and she's racist and this and that. No, because then the child will feel, okay, because the child will start being with the parents against the teacher. Or if the teacher says, oh, your mother doesn't understand, this is a work both sides, then the child, like, it's important that the school and the parents join together and accept to communicate, even if they don't agree on everything. It's okay for the child to be exposed to the fact that it's okay not to be agreeing 100% with everybody, but communicate and respect each other.
So moving on, part of children development is discovering the outside world. So I think it's normal to see children have social relationships with other kids from outside their family's cultures. What would you say to parents who only teach their kids back home cultures? Is it good or bad parenting styles?
Keeping the most important good things of your own background, wherever you come from, learning about the functioning of the new background, and evolving into adopting some of the good of the new background, not leaving your background. You understand? So you can keep your faith, your values, your practice, your understanding, your goal in education, and center on what's similar. Because both societies want the children to be honest, they want them to be happy, they want them to be healthy, they want them to be successful, prosperous. So we join together saying that we want the same thing. Now, the way we used to do it is this. The way we used to do it is this. What is working in both? And what is more efficient is to teach the child a choice between your limits. Okay? Right. Let's say, for example, I know you need to see your friends. Okay? If we were back home, after school, you will never go out. Here, I know your friends go out. Okay? But what we're gonna do, we're gonna see how you can go out and come back on your, like if I give you a time, if you come back, let's say I say 5 o'clock, you need to be at home. I will try this week. If you're back at 5 o'clock, I know who you're with. You choose people who don't do drugs, who don't drink alcohol, who don't have relationships, like out of boyfriend, I would not go together, but like you, at least they don't have too close relationships. Okay, let's say I give you those 3 rules, and I give you a time to come back, and your phone has to be open if I have to call you. I'm not gonna call you more than 1 time if you answer me. If you answer me, I know where you are, you're choosing right people, and you're coming back on time, no problem, you can go out.
You get my
if you don't come on time, I'm sorry, but I'll have to help you. Do you understand?
Yes.
So it's not you can't go out at all, if not you're punished, because then he's gonna go out through the window. It's not, okay, no problem, you can go out. It's, I will explain you what's happening.
But
the children, don't forget that they don't know the way you were raised.
Right.
Because they're exposed to a new society. Most of them, they come here young. And maybe they were exposed a little, but they were younger, and over there's no going out. So they come here and all their friends, and they go, all my friends except me. So you can tell them, yes. And me, what I would suggest to parents, really it's important, have a chat with your children. Explain them that you understand, that they see their friends and you want them to be happy, you want them to have friends, okay? And you explain them your life a little bit when you were their age, how it was, so they can have a comparison point. Not to see that you're that strict, but that if they would stay there with you, it would be so much more strict. And to explain that those children, they were raised here and they have a different background, so we cannot do totally like them, and we cannot do totally like us. So what we will try, we will do it. If you're able, give him the responsibility, give her the responsibility. We will try it and give a closed time. For 1 week, let's try this. And if you say, oh, only 5 o'clock, listen, we have to build trust. Okay? If I see that, you know, if I can trust you with little things, I will be able to trust you with bigger things. And you put the limit and you let the child follow that limit. And you present your consequence. Let's say you say 5 o'clock and the next day, okay, it comes at 5 o'clock, then the day after comes at 5:15. Then you tell the child, okay, do you think our plan is working? Okay, so what can I do to help? Does it help if I cut the outing, or if I put you at 4:30 and you show me that you can come at 4:30, then you can earn back the 5 o'clock?
That's good technique.
Okay, so it's a model of, it's more severe than North American parents, but it's less severe than Saudi Arabian parents. But here, it will help the child catch back on his own self-control. I want to say also that in the condition that parents come here, many times they lose a lot of their social position. Because when they are in Saudi Arabia, they're bosses of company, they're doctors, they're teachers, postdoctoral. And they come here, and when they come here, they lose everything. They don't speak the language. They have to they have to go to a totally different lifestyle. The children, they were used to have a computer each, a phone each, to go to whatever, have visitors, go to restaurants, have nice clothes and everything. And then they come, and all of a sudden everything is shut. Their parents are depressed, and so that's another thing, to explain the children what's going on and to tell the children it's the phase of our life. It's not gonna be always like that. And also because the fact that choosing the friends, if you come here first, you're not gonna buy a house in suburb unless you have family here. So the people that your children are gonna meet are not from your level of education, are not necessarily, it doesn't mean they're not good people, but to explain your children that maybe these children, if they go out until midnight, for example, maybe their parents could not teach them, or maybe the children did not listen, but we will help them, we will support them, not to put yourself as dominating others, but just for your children to not lose your background and go in and to say it's a phase of our life, and to teach the children to be models for others also, and to teach the children that the more you're going to show that you're independent, that you're responsible, the less I will have to interfere. Let's say he has a project to do, And parents are like, can you do the project? Yeah, I'll do after. Like, look, if you do this page today, I'm not gonna need to tell you. If you don't do it, I'm gonna have to be on your back. They have to learn that if I do it on myself, if I come back on time, I'm gonna earn the responsibility to have more time. Right. If I don't, my parent will help me. It's a different vision, but it's a way to apply discipline that is not totally democratic, not totally autocratic.
Okay, that means individuals within society have different lifestyles, norms, and values, and children can fit or adapt to Canadian societies or other societies.
Very well, as long as we consider that there's no good, no bad, okay? We keep what's good from our background and we learn what's good about the new background, and we are open with our children that we love them, that we care, and that the more and that we are as parents adjusting to a new society, and that yes, we will let them have some freedom, but they have to show us that they're able and responsible to follow sane limit to be healthy, safe, and happy.
Madam Helen, thank you so much.
Welcome.
Thank you so much. We really enjoyed it. Thank you so
You're
much.
welcome. Thank you. I'm honored. Thank
Thanks.
you. Thank you.